Good evening, everyone. How are you? So, everybody, you are all aware that we have already started practicing for the December cycle and unit second, the topic that we have started already, class 1, 2, and 3 already uploaded. So, if any of you have not watched, go to the description and do watch the video. It's very helpful. I have prepared the detailed notes from all the ages. It is a beginning, so you can watch without miss. Then you can, if you will watch the previous video, then you will understand, because in this video we are going to practice the MCQs that what we have done in the previous 3 class. So you must watch. And also, before starting the class, I would like to request to all of you to subscribe the channel. Do like the session, subscribe the channel, and also press the bell icon to get all the latest informations about the post. And you can also join the Telegram channel. Link is given in bio for the PDF notes and any doubt or any other informations. So with this, let's start. In this video, we will practice the MCQs, the questions that we have done in the previous class 1, 2, and 3. The one who have watched will definitely understand the questions, short questions, long questions. You will face chronology questions. As you can see on the screen, the first question we have matching questions, accession and reason, and each type of questions you are going to experience in this PDF. So do watch the video till end and please subscribe the channel, and let's start. So in this video, I have included the questions of Greek, Roman, Anglo-Saxon age. And the question you have, match the Old English poem with its theme. Everything bit by bit I have cleared in the previous video, class 1, 2, 3. So you should not miss, everybody, if you really want to practice and crack your UGC NET JRF at once. So here you have the options: the seafarer, Juliana, Cadman's hymn, the wife's lament, and the theme that you have to match with the heroic martyrdom of a woman, Christian praise of the creator, spiritual journey on the sea, and the female speaker's exile. If you have watched, you will definitely find the correct answer quickly. You have to match. Topic wise, I have mentioned everything in the previous 3 videos. These questions and these practice are for the December cycle. I hope you all have started practicing already. Here you have the options. I hope you have found the answer. Correct answer. Correct answer, you have option B. You have to match here. Option B, A3, spiritual journey on the sea. So it's common. You can simply recognize seafarer, sea. Spiritual journey on the sea. Juliana, you have a heroic martyrdom of a woman. Cadman's hymn, you have a Christian praise of the creator, and the wife's lament, you have to match with female speakers exile. All the major poets, minor poets of these ages, Greek, Roman, Anglo-Saxon, I have mentioned in the class, so you must watch. Now let's move on to the next question. Here the question you have. A session is saying, Beowulf is a purely pagan poem with no trace of Christian values, and reason here, the poem is set in pre-Christian Scandinavia. Here is the options. Beowulf is a purely, I have uploaded the summary of Beowulf also, but to study more detail just about the Beowulf, I will have to upload a separate video on this. What would be the correct answer? But this thing was mentioned in previous class. Purely pagan poem with no trace of Christian values, or the poem is set in pre-Christian Scandinavia. Correct answer, you have option C. Here, option C, A is false, but R is true. Beowulf is a purely pagan poem with no trace of Christian values. This is wrong. And the poem is set in the pre-Christian Scandinavia. This is true. So option A is going to be true, A is false, and R is true. Beowulf has significant Christian moral framing despite pagan setting. So you must remember. Next question you have on your screen. Arrange the following in chronological order of composition. The Seafarer, Beowulf, Juliana, and Caedmon's Hymn. See if there is option. No, there is no option. You have to arrange as per their order of composition. It is difficult to memorize the year, the composition date of the previous work, that is Anglo-Saxon, Greek, and Roman, because the date is not accurate. So that is why we use the approx word or the word around. Because all the works of whether it's Greek, Roman, or Anglo-Saxon or Norman, the work was founded in some manuscripts, and in that manuscripts the age was not justified properly, so that's why it's here the answer you have option D, Caedmon's Hymn first. Caedmon's Hymn first, Beowulf you have second, Juliana third, and the fourth one you have the Seafarer. This is the correct chronology as per the composition of these works, so you must remember. Next question you have, which of the following is not written by Cynewulf? Option A, Juliana, Ellen, The Dream of the Rood, and The Fates of the Epistles. Cynewulf. The following works that is not written by this writer. The four works that was found by this writer, I have already shared the summary in the previous video, so you must watch. Correct answer here, the option would be C. Option would be C. The Dream of the Rood is anonymous, the writer is unknown. This class is going to be extremely helpful for the beginner especially, or who have given the everybody, for everybody this class is going to be helpful, so you can not miss. The Dream of the Rood is anonymous, the writer is unknown, though earlier attributed by some to Cynewulf, but majorly that anonymous the work is. The four major work you have to remember about the Cynewulf. Now you have the primary theme of The Wanderer is triumph of Christian martyrdom, celebration of lordship and kingship, exile, impermanence and spiritual endurance, nature and personal joy. Correct answer? Is it difficult to study or teach with PDF? Have to increase and decrease the size every time. Correct answer, everybody? You have to find the theme of the work The Wanderer, the poem. Correct answer you have option C. Option C, exile, impermanence, and spiritual endurance. Let's move on to the next question. Which Old English poetic device is characteristically used in Caedmon's Hymn and Beowulf? Iambic pentameter, blank verse, end rhyme, or alliteration? Theme, technique, form, everything was mentioned. If you want to solve these questions, you have to watch the previous videos, the class 1, 2, and 3. Age by age, I have mentioned the technique, that which type of technique, which type of form, which type of rhyme meters they majorly used in in their work. So correct answer, Old English poetic device that is used characteristically used in Caedmon's Hymn and Beowulf. Correct answer you have option D, alliteration. It was extensively used in these eras, so you must remember. Next question you have. Now you have to identify the poem from which this line is taken. Where is the horse gone? Where the rider? The Seafarer, the Wife's Lament, the Wanderer, Juliana. This is the line, major line that you have to find out from which the work this line has been taken. Correct answer, everybody? Option C, The Wanderer. Option C, The Wanderer. Next question you have. J.R.R. Tolkien's influential 1936 essay Beowulf, The Monsters and the Critics, emphasized its values as historical source only, its Christian dogmatic structure, its literary merit as a poem, not just a historical document, the authenticity of its manuscript scribe. J.R.R. Tolkien has written a work or an essay, and the title you have Beowulf, The Monsters and the Critics you must remember. And what was the influential that he has emphasized in this title? You have to find out. So correct answer option C here. It's literary merit as a poem, not just a historical document. Okay. Move on to the next one. Who was the first Old English poet to sign his name using runes? Runes letter. Cadman, the Beowulf poet, Cynewulf, and Bede. First Old English poet to sign his name using runes letter. Correct answer, everyone. Here, option C, Cynewulf. Option C, Cynewulf. You have to remember the work, the four major work of this writer. Next question you have, the metrical form used in the Seafarer is best described as elegiac couplets, blank verse, Old English alliterative verse, and ballad stanza. You can simply eliminate the options that is not mentioned in their technique, the form that they use. Metrical form used in the Seafarer that best described, which would be the correct one? Correct answer? Option C, Old English alliterative verse. Extensively used alliterative verse in all the previous work, poem. Now you have who says the line, fate often saves an undoomed man when his courage is good in Beowulf. Many major lines I have shared from this work, so you must remember. Who says the line, fate often saves an undoomed man when his courage is good in Beowulf? Wiglaf, Hrothgar, Beowulf, and the narrator. There are many lines that has been spoken by all these characters of Beowulf. So you have to remember, I have mentioned in the class. Actually, I thought that after 3 class, going to the next one, we should practice that what we have studied so that you can revise and find how much you have get from the content. Correct answer, this line has been quoted or said by Beowulf. Next question. In Beowulf, the line, he was the mildest of men and the gentlest, kindest to his people and most eager for fame, is Beowulf's self-assessment spoken by Wiglaf, the narrator's eulogy for Beowulf, or a praise sung by the Geats. He was the mildest of men and the gentlest, kindest of his people and most eager for fame, is. Who said this? In which way this line has been quoted? Whether it's Beowulf's self-assessment, whether it is spoken by Wiglaf, whether it's spoken or eulogized by narrator for Beowulf, or whether it's a praise sung by the Geats. You have to break the questions in part to understand, to get the meaning clearly. Correct answer? Option C, the narrator's eulogy for Beowulf. And in which line it has been mentioned, whether it's the beginning of the poem or the end or the middle, everything was mentioned in the previous video. Next question you have. Now, dulc at utile is a phrase associated with Aristotle, Horace, Dryden, Longinus. It is a Latin phrase. Latin phrase. There are many Latin phrases from one particular work I have shared. It is easy to guess. We won't take too much time because you have already watched. Option B, Horace. Option B, Horace. Next question you have, Metamorphosis by Ovid begins with which classical theme? War, love, creation, exile. Metamorphosis by Ovid begins with which classical theme? War, love, creation, exile. Ovid. Correct answer? Option C, creation. Next question. The famous line, the famous Latin phrase "ut pictura poesis" appears in Aristotle's Poetics, Longinus on the Sublime, Horace Ars Poetica, Plato's Republic. The famous line phrase "ut pictura poesis" appears in which of these works by the writers? Correct answer, everyone. Ut pictura poesis, it is also a Latin phrase and the extensively used by option C, Horace. Option C, Horace. From here, I have added the explanation. See here. The phrase "ut pictura poesis" as is painting, so is poetry appears in line 361 of Ars Poetica by Horace. It draws an analogy between the visual and literary arts, suggesting the both are structured and designed to evoke emotional and intellectual responses. So you must remember Horace Ars Poetica, "ut pictura poesis" referring here is as painting, so is poetry. I am providing you best content in free of cost. You just have to subscribe and share the channel, and if the views is not, I will get as per the expectation, so my hard work won't be valued, so I have to drop my class. So please share to more and more students, everybody. I took so much time to prepare the content. If anything error mistake you find, you can definitely notify me. And do join the Telegram. There are many students who have already joined in such a less time. So next question you have. According to Horace in Ars Poetica, the main functions of poetry should be. What should be the main functions of poetry that has been mentioned by Horace in his work Ars Poetica? Now you understand the question. To preach moral lessons, to arouse sublime emotions, to delight and instruct, to praise heroic deeds. This question is appeared many times in a different way. Same question, meaning is the same, but they twist. Different style, different using different word. That's why it becomes confusing. Correct answer. The main function should be here mentioned by Horace in the work Ars Poetica to delight and instruct. Why? Horace famously declares that poetry should be both dull and utile. That means sweet, delightful, and useful, instructive. This principle was later central to neoclassical criticism, influencing writers like Pope and Dryden. So you can remember many things from in one explanation from one question. Who influenced, who got influenced? Pope and Dryden. And what was the Latin phrase? Dulc et utile. That refers to sweet, delight, and useful, instructive. To delight and instruct. Mentioned in Ars Poetica by Horace. Next question you have. Which of the following best describe Horace's view of poetic unity? Horace's view of poetic unity. Poem must imitate divine creation. A poem should be a mix of various styles. Every part of a poem must contribute to the whole. A poem should begin with a striking simile. Best describes Horace's view of poetic unity. How Horace saw poetic unity that has been mentioned here. You have to find the best one. Correct answer you have option C, Every part of a poem must contribute to the whole. Every part of the poem must contribute to the whole. Horace emphasizes organic unity. Must remember that all parts of a poem must be logically and aesthetically linked. Much like in painting, this reflects classical and later neoclassical ideals of balance and cohesion. Emphasized organic unity. Do remember, logically, aesthetically, the poet should be linked. And he has given the example of painting. Next question you have. In Horace Ars Poetica, what is the ideal length for a play? 3 acts, 4 acts, 5 acts, as long as necessary. What Horace has mentioned, the ideal length for a play. Correct answer? Option C, 5 acts. Option C, 5 acts. Horace recommends the 5 act structure for plays, which became a standard in later neoclassical drama, especially in works by Racine, Corneille, and Dryden. 5 acts. Length. Length of a play, he has mentioned. That is 5 acts. Next question you have. The poetic theory in Ars Poetica influenced all of the following writers except Alexander Pope, Nicholas Boileau, William Wordsworth, John Dryden. Two writers we have already familiarized. You can easily eliminate. The poetic theory in Ars Poetica influenced all of the following writers. Many writers have been influenced by the work Ars Poetica by Horace. So, which among these not influenced? Correct answer option C, William Wordsworth. Option C, William Wordsworth. While Pope, Boileau, Dryden all followed Horatian and neoclassical principles, Wordsworth rejected them in his Romantic Manifesto, preface to Lyrical Ballad, favoring emotional spontaneity over classical restraint. Got it? Wordsworth rejected them in his Romantic Manifesto, preface to Lyrical Ballad. What did he favor? He favored emotional spontaneity over classical restraint. Remember this. Next question, everyone. The division of Horace Ars Poetica into poesies, poema, and poeta was introduced by Horace himself, Longinus, later classical commentators, Aristotle. The division of Horace, that Horace Ars Poetica divided into 3 parts, that is poesies, poema, and poeta. I am telling you, you should not miss the previous class, that class 1, 2, and 3. Everything has been mentioned in that video. What would be the correct one? Correct one here is option C, later classical commentators. Later classical commentators divided this into poesies, poema, and poeta. The work the work Ars Poetica by Horace. Next question you have here. Horace did not explicitly divide Ars Poetica into these sections, but later critics organized the text this way for clarity. And the how does it signify? Poesy, subject of poetry; poema, that is the form of poetry; and poeta, the poet and their role. In detail, I have explained this. Next question. Horace advised that a gruesome event should not be shown on stage, but described is most relevant to which genre? Satire, lyric, tragedy, epic. Horace advised that gruesome events should not be shown on stage, but described is most relevant to which age, which genre? Which genre, everyone? Correct answer? Option C here, tragedy. In Ars Poetica, Horace advises dramatic restraint, especially in tragedy, stating that violent or disturbing scenes, that is, Medea killing her children, should be reported rather than enacted on stage. So, this was the thought of perception of Horace he has mentioned in his work. Next question you have the phrase "Ut pictura poesies" as painting, so is poetry, coined by Horace in Ars Poetica, became a foundational idea in which literary movement? Romanticism, modernism, neoclassicism, symbolism. See, from one work, how many questions and in which way the questions has been taken. Ut pictura poesies refers as is painting, so is poetry. Okay, it is coined by Horace in his work Ars Poetica. It became a foundational idea in which literary movement. You have to find which literary movement. So you already have solved and seen the video. So option C, neoclassical, and majorly influenced Dryden and Pope. Next question you have, who recorded the first account of an English Christian poet in a historical work written in Latin? Cynewulf, Cadman, Bede, Alcuin. Correct answer, everyone? Recorded. Who recorded the first account of an English Christian poet in a historical work written in Latin? Correct answer you have option C, Bede. Option C, Bede. The venerable Bede, he is known as explanation. Bede, in his ecclesiastical history of the English people, documented the story of Cadman, the first known English Christian poet. Though Cadman composed poetry, it was Bede who recorded his life and contribution, making it the first known account of English religious poetry. Students were confused about this, Cynewulf, Cadman and Bede. So correct answer here would be the Bede. Next question, everyone. In Bede's ecclesiastical history of the English people, which figure is described as receiving divine inspiration to compose religious verse in Old English? In Bede's ecclesiastical history of the English people, which figure is described as receiving divine inspiration to compose religious verse in Old English? Which figure you have to find? Alfred the Great, Wulfstan, Cynewulf, Cadman. Which figure is described as receiving divine inspiration to compose religious verse in Old English? Correct answer you have option D, Cadman. Cadman was an illiterate cowherd who miraculously began composing Christian poetry after receiving divine inspiration in a dream. His hymn marks the beginning of recorded English religious poetry. So option would be Cadman. Next one you have, which of the following was written in Latin and is considered the earliest historical prose work documenting Anglo-Saxon England? The Wanderer, the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, Beowulf, and a ecclesiastical history of the English people. Ecclesiastical history of the English people, this word. Break down the questions. Which of the following was written in Latin and is considered the earliest historical prose work documenting Anglo-Saxon England? I have shared the PDF on Telegram where I have mentioned that how students, especially the beginners, they can overcome the reading the long questions. So if you want that PDF, you can join the Telegram channel, or if you want me to make a video that how you can improve your reading and understanding of the questions, or you can improve your reading anyhow which way, or which work, whatever work you have to. So if you want, you have to comment so that I can upload. Correct answer, Anglo-Saxon England. Correct answer, option B, Ecclesiastical History of the English People. Beats this work. Ecclesiastical History, written in Latin in 731 AD, is a key source for early English history, especially regarding the Christianization of England and literary developments like Cadman's hymn. So you must remember the work. Also here, most and many of the work we found the Anglo-Saxon chronicle. Most of the work from this period we found through this chronicle. Anglo-Saxon chronicle provide the evidence about the work of this age. So you can memorize this also. So here these are the questions from the class 1 to 3 that I have shared, uploaded already. I hope you have liked the session already. And for such content and free of cost also, you have to subscribe the channel, everybody, and to share to more and more students. Till then, what do you have to do? Subscribe the channel. Everything is mentioned here. You can read. Do like the session, every session, subscribe. And for PDFs, notes, do join the Telegram. This is going to be your one-stop solution for all your UGC NET English literature. And if everything will go well, we will move forward by bringing more such meaningful and helpful content for all the students. So you have to support. Thank you so much for watching. Do subscribe the channel. Take care of yourself. And also, the one thing that I was keep reminding in June cycle was revision is must. So do revise what you have studied so far. Mock test you can have. The schedule I have already uploaded. You can go to the description. December strategy schedule you will find, and you can watch the schedule and prepare your own as per your time management. So you must prepare accordingly. Do take care of yourself, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.